Good afternoon.
My name is Brenda Sheik. Today is June 10th, 2014, and we're in the Oklahoma County Cooperative Extension Office interviewing
Ray Ridlen.
Ray Ridlen as part of the Voices of Extension Oral History Project. So thank you for joining us, Ray, and just for the record, can you spell your name for us?
It's Ray Ridlen, R-I-D-L-E-N.
R-A-D-L-A-N.
L-E-N.
L-E-N.
Yes.
L-E-N. So, talk a little bit about your early life. When and where were you born?
I was raised in northern San Diego County, a rural area. You know, a lot of people think San Diego County, a large urban area. I was in the northern end of the county and grew up in a town called Valley Center, and just had kindergarten through 8th grade, and then when after graduating went to 8th grade with 40 of my classmates, we had to go to high school in Escondido, which was quite a shock. We had 3 high schools in that town, and all 3 of them had over 2,000 students each. So we went from a class of 42 to 442.
And what year were you born?
I was born in 1959.
1959. So how did your family come to live there?
My dad's retired Navy.
Okay.
And then after getting out of the Navy in '59, he worked for the State Department of Transportation as a heat and air specialist, taking care of that in their main office down there in San Diego.
And did your mom work outside the home?
My mom was a registered nurse, but she was a homemaker the whole time I was growing up.
And tell me about, did you have siblings?
I had an adopted brother and sister.
Okay.
You know, the typical story that they tried having kids and they signed the adoption papers, and a month later, pregnant with me. So I was a whoops child.
And so are you the third in the line of kids?
Yes, yes.
And so they're older.
Yeah, my dad was 43 and my mom was 40 when I was born.
What are your parents' names?
Raymond and Lucille.
And what was your mother's maiden name?
Hoffman. Yeah, good German. Her mother's maiden name was Flessenkampfer, so pretty solid German, Flessenkampfer and Hoffman.
And where did, obviously they came from Germany, but about what time did they settle over here? And
my dad was Scotch-Irish from Illinois, and my mom was from Decatur, Illinois. And my dad, he did a stint in the Navy in South Pacific, and then we got out of the, after his 4-year stint, he went back to Decatur and worked for Staley, the syrup company there. And it was winter time. He looked around. He said, I looked around. He goes, all the snow was sooty. It was cold. He goes, I think I'm going to go back in the Navy. So 20 years later, he finally retired out of the Navy.
Describe any interactions that your family had with the extension educators in that area.
I grew up in 4-H, 10-year 4-H member in San Diego County, a very active local club because we had nothing else to do except 4-H. We didn't have organized sports. About the only organized sport we had was running cross country, and one of the teachers that taught there sent 2 of his sons, our son and a daughter, to Oregon on track scholarships. So that was only that organized activity we had. So 4-H was it, and not really that much involvement because with the 4-H staff on a county level, because it's such a large county. They probably had 3 or 4 4-H agents.
And what were the 4-H meetings like? Can you describe those?
On the club level, we had about 150. We had 150 members, active members in our club, and a lot of people once again think San Diego County is very urban county, but lots of small communities in that county, just like Valley Center. So our state fair, our county fair, which is Southern California Exposition of Del Mar, it's held in the summertime. Just our 4-H club, we drag 125 head of sheep, 125 head of hogs, 20, 30 steers and heifers, and that's just our club. On the county level, it was kind of like the not quite as large as Spring Livestock Show here, the OYE, but there still would be 2,500 head of hogs, 2,500 head of sheep, and 400 head of cattle.
And just for reference, for clarification, you mentioned OYE. Can you tell us what those acronyms stands for?
Oklahoma Youth Expo.
Okay. And so when you had your 4-H clubs, you know, were all of those kids there at this, you know, same time? Where were they held?
Yeah, we had monthly meetings every year. I mean, monthly meetings every month. Then we'd have our club project meetings, and you know, all the parents were really involved in on the club level on the club projects.
And what were some of the projects that you did during that time?
Oh, I still remember my my team demonstration speech on wool from fleece to fabric.
Can you give us a part of any of that?
Oh, I mean, we had everything. We had a little spinning wheel, a little, you know, fabric make. It was, you know, we won a medal with it.
Who was your partner?
Bill Bright.
And do you still keep up with him at all?
No, I haven't.
Haven't seen him for years. So, what were some of the other experiences that you had? Did you go on any trips with 4-H?
No nationwide trips, but we'd have as a county club, we our teen leaders, we organized the first annual float trip down the Colorado River, and there's only like 2 rafts the first year, and then after that it became a huge activity with like 15, 20 rafts. And then I remember one year we did a pig dig as a fundraiser, a county-wide fundraiser. One of our club members in the town I grew up in had a Bates Brothers nut farm in a large area, and he wanted to have a pit barbecue, so he bought the pit to go in the ground just because he could use it for year after that. And I think we did 6 pigs, quartered them, quartered them, wrapped them in cheesecloth and you know, baling wire and foil and burlap, dipped in the 55-gallon drum and lowered the hooks down in there and covered it up. And then it was 13 hours of, I hope they're not burning down there, because we're having lots of people. We sold tickets, I think, $8 or $10, all you could eat, and we had people from all over the county came out for that. And we ended up burning the baked beans, had to make another run to town to get some more of those. But
so about how old were you when that was all taken place?
I was probably 16 or 17. It was the first annual one we'd done. I think we raised like $12,000 or $13,000. We fed a lot of people.
And was that? It sounds like the youth were really involved. It sounds like it was almost
totally. I was in charge of the meat.
Wow. How did you learn how to do that and keep everybody safe?
Read a lot. I mean, there was some adult supervision, but one of our our pig leader, he had some gilts that he'd fed out and was going to use them for replacements or anything. So he said the 6 pigs that are in that first pen on the left, those are the ones you could do. So we went out and harvested them, and then they were giving me a hard time going, no, it was not the pigs on the left, it's supposed to be the pigs on the right. And they had me convinced I had shot the replacement gilts, and the adults were, so.
Were you in therapy after that?
Yeah, but anyway, I filled out all the paperwork of step by step on how we did everything, and it's probably still in the filing cabinet down at the extension office, so they could follow the blueprint from the very first year. But that's the great thing about 4-H. It teaches a lot of responsibility and accountability, and yeah, I mean, we were in charge of it.
Yeah. How you're familiar, or you've probably even attended some of the 4-H meetings here in Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Do you notice any big difference between those held in California and those here in Oklahoma?
Most of the club meetings around here seem to be a little more just individually project oriented, where you don't have a large monthly meeting where everybody comes together. And we just had that every month. Mm-hmm. We had a monthly meeting with about 150 at it. And one of our big community service projects our club did every year, we had lots of families moving from the urban area of Centennial County out to be into the rural area, just like we're seeing people moving from Oklahoma City out to Deer Creek and Edmond and out the more rural area. Well, rattlesnakes are a huge problem out there. And those of us that grew up in the rural area know the things of don't step over something you can't see what's on the other side, don't put your hands where you can't see, and So we'd have a meeting every spring when the snakes were starting to come out of hibernation, and we'd have a snake bite specialist from Palomar Hospital. Yeah, they actually have there's so many rattlesnakes in Southern California, they have snake bite specialists. And we'd have one of those doctors come out and do a slideshow, and we'd invite the community in so those people could learn that maybe you won't step over if you can't see the other side, because they are a pretty serious problem. So if you get snake bit in Southern California, that's where they fly you to, is to the hospital there in Escondido.
So that was a big public service type of project.
Yeah.
What were some of the other projects you guys did?
Oh, the pig dig was a big deal. You know, always participated in the Western Days parades and that type of stuff.
And what was, just for the record, what was the Western Days parade? Is there anything significant? What did it celebrate?
Oh, Western Days, you know, probably the anniversary of the, you know, township of Valley Center.
And were your brothers and sisters also in 4-H?
No, they weren't in 4-H. And one of the more interesting projects I had out there as a 4-H project was I grew Christmas trees. And out there, you know, year-round growing season, and the Monterey pine that you utilize as a Christmas tree, it's not, you know, you can be marketing them at 3 to 5 years of, you know, trees 3 to 5 years of age, or here they have to be 7 or 8 years old.
How did you get started on that?
Just thought it'd be a nice way to raise some money. I was always looking for ways to raise my bank account.
And how old were you when you kind of started that little business?
Oh, I was probably around 12.
How long did you do it?
Did it for about 3 years. I started marketing them about 3 years of age, and I was finished with them about 5 years. My last ones were going out.
Do you remember about how many you sold on average each year?
Oh, I think total we had probably 400 trees.
So did that cash fund make you through the rest of the school
year? Yeah. I was one of those 4-H kids. You know, I mean, I had a checkbook when I was, you know, 10 years old, and the last several years I was in 4-H, I had 6 steers on feed each year, and I worked at a feed store, so it was pretty much every 2 weeks they'd write me a check, I'd sign the back of it and give it back to them.
Take your feed home. How do you think 4-H has shaped you as an adult?
Everything. Teaches you responsibility. You know, those animals aren't going to feed themselves. You have to be out there, and whether it's, we didn't have snow out there, but we had plenty of rain in the winter time. We were in an area where we only lived on, you know, a little under 2 acres. But, you know, the covenants, you know, if I was an adult, I couldn't have a steer there, but since I was in a 4-H program, they allowed you to have 4-H projects there. But you had to be good neighbors. You know, the neighbors next door didn't want to smell your cattle pens, so it was a lot of keeping those cleaned up. You know, maybe take them a little free hamburger every once in a while.
Did you guys have any 4-H trips or 4-H camp that you went to, or? Yeah,
we had a 4-H camp usually over Christmas break. Can't think of what it was. In cabins we went to. It wasn't in our county though. I can't remember
where you went. Oklahoma has an activity, a gathering, an event called Roundup.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything similar to that?
Yeah, they do that. Went to several of those. It was usually, you know, we're Stillwater every year. We're out there. They use the different University of California. I went 1 year University of California, Santa Barbara 1 year. Another time University of California, Riverside. So I remember going to 2 of those.
Did you guys stay in the dorm? Where did you stay?
Yeah, stayed in the dorms.
And what were some of the activities that you held out there?
Same things we do here in Oklahoma, you know, 10 workshops and leadership workshops.
And any other 4-H trips that you went on?
No, just the 2 Roundup type events. So I did that twice in the summers. And then we had some, you know, we did some camping trips as a, you know, it uses our club teen group.
And looking back on your involvement in 4-H in California, was there anything of historical value that you remember that took place, a change or?
Yeah, I don't know if they still do it, but I know when I moved to Oklahoma in '79, we still wore a 4-H uniform. And that was white pants, white shirt, your green 4-H tie, and your 4-H hat. It's like one of the milkman's hats. I've got one in my desk.
I wish I would have had you bring it. So where did you wear the uniform?
Whenever you're showing, giving a talk, and you get one stripe for every to put on your hat for every year of membership. And I think the first the first ones are green stripes, and I believe it goes to a gold stripe as you're a teen, a teen leader. And your achievement awards, they go on, your achievement buttons go on there.
What did the girls wear?
Same thing.
So with the slacks and the tie?
Yeah. And so you wear coveralls when you're getting your livestock ready, and you wear them right up to the edge of the ring, and then you peel them off.
I'm sure the parents probably, or at least the moms, really enjoyed the whiteness part of it.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about your college days. Where did you go and when did you go?
Okay. Moved here to Oklahoma in 1979. Graduated high school in '77. Went to a junior college out there for a semester or so. And then Mom and Dad, we have no relatives in Oklahoma, but for the last several summers before that, they'd taken the motor home and they were looking for a place to retire. So they'd been to Washington and Oregon and Utah and New Mexico and Arkansas, and then one day they called and said, we found 60 acres north of Sallisaw. And so that was that summer. So the next spring we moved in May to Oklahoma, and I started at OSU that fall of '79.
And what degree program did you go into?
Animal science degree.
Really? I'm surprised at that.
Yeah, so I received my animal science degree in '82, so I got done fairly quick, '79 to '82, and then I went back the next year and got a degree in agricultural education.
Okay. And how did your involvement in 4-H influence that, or what are your thoughts?
Well, yes. Yeah, on my degree, on my animal science degree, yes.
And what, as you were working on that degree program, what did you think you might do with that?
There's just a wide varieties. I kind of had an agribusiness emphasis because there's lots of different areas you could go to. It's just at that time, you think back '82, that was the oil bust, and that's one reason I went back for another year to get a teaching degree, because there weren't very many jobs available in '82.
And what type of things, did you have any jobs that you worked while you were in school, or? Yes,
I was fortunate. I didn't have to work during school. I always had a good enough job in the summertime to pay for my way the rest of the year. Went on wheat harvest one year. I met a girl I was dating at Stillwater. She was in a sorority, and her little sister in the sorority was talking to them. They were needing to get some cattle clipped for their sale catalog coming in the spring. So I got with them and met Dave McMahon with Bell Point Angus Ranch over in Lavaca, Arkansas. So that Christmas break, I spent the whole month over there trimming cattle for their sale catalog. The sale was in March, and so once I got to meet them, went to Denver with them, and after that I worked there every summer. And I had one semester, my last semester up there, I didn't have class on Mondays or Fridays. I had 18-hour workload. It was just completely Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, really. So I'd take off Wednesday or Thursday evening and drive from Stillwater to the other side of Fort Smith and work the weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. About Monday, around 2 o'clock, I'd head back to Stillwater, and they had a feed store there on the at the ranch, and I'd go by the feed store and pick up an envelope, and it had 3 $100 bills in it. That's $1,200 a week or a month cash for a college student. That's good money.
Yeah. I wasn't making that. I can promise you
Yeah.
that. And how did you eventually get into extension work?
Okay, after I got out of college, I got teaching out at Cordell, taught vocational agriculture for 2 years. And then after that, I managed a vegetable farming operation out in western Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle for about 2 years. And then I decided I wanted to get into extension.
And take me through your extension career. How
Okay.
How did that go?
There was an opening in Beckham County, and I was going to interview for that, and I had an interview lined up because I was already in western Oklahoma. I was living in Clinton, and but I got notified there was a job opening in Creek County also. So I interviewed for the Creek County job, and so then after my interview, I was just going to drive to my mom and dad's house in Salisaw. So when I got there that Friday, the the district director called from the Northeast District, Ronnie George, and he offered me the position in Creek County. And looking at my first job in extension, I didn't want to say, well, you know, Mr. George, can we wait another week or two and see how this Beckham County one turns out? I figured, as I say, a bird in the hand. So I took the Creek County 4-H agent's position, thoroughly loved it, got working with the kids, got me back into 4-H. But after about 3 years of that, I was looking to move over into the agricultural side of it, or move to a county that would, you know, be an ag 4-H. So I did interview for a couple of, you know, I interviewed for Logan County. Then the Beckham County job came back open, so I interviewed for that and received that position.
When did you start in Creek County?
July 28th, 1988.
And then if you worked there for 3 years, I assume you started in Beckham in 91, is that correct?
I believe so.
91?
Yeah, February of 91.
And what was your position there? What was your official title?
Agriculture with 4-H responsibilities.
In Creek County, you talked about Ronnie George as the district director,
Mm-hmm.
but who were some of your coworkers?
Sherman Levi Grubb III, who's still there, and Darlene, can't think of Darlene's last name. Darlene Leach. She was the county director.
And during that 3 years, were they the ones that stayed there, or did anybody else come and go?
Nope, they were there.
And who were some of the families that you met during that time? Do you recall any of those names?
Oh, not the names. I mean, I could, not right off the top of my head.
Yeah. What were some of the, you know, we all have those memories and stories out of almost every extension position we've had. What's the 1 or 2 things that you're pretty sure you'll never forget out of your time from there?
From which county? Creek County or?
Creek.
The Kellyville FFA has a jackpot hog show every spring, and it'd been beautiful weather, and then a terrible cold front came through, and it was, I mean, it was 12 degrees below. It was bitterly cold. Another memorable, not necessarily in the county, but while I was in the county, we took a bus of urban 4-H educators. So since I'm in that Tulsa metropolitan area, we were one of the participants of it, and we did a bus trip. I believe we left in March, and it was ice and snow and just terrible weather. We went to Detroit and Kalamazoo. Those were two of our stops on the urban tour. Very interesting. They had a 4-H office at the zoo up there in Kalamazoo, which I thought was very great cross-referencing of programs.
That would be interesting.
And then the urban gardening that they do in Detroit, because they have lots of areas that buildings have been tore down.
Do you remember any?
Oh, and then also my monthly check from the extension from the state office got not delivered. So I had no money.
That has to have a story. Tell us about that one.
So I had to go to the Family Consumer Science ladies who are running the food booth at the Spring Livestock Show and get IOUs, give them IOUs.
Were they able to float you for just a little bit?
Yeah, they were able to float me several $100s so I could leave to go.
And so was that when you first started in Creek County? Was that like the first paycheck that just...
No, I'd been there a year or so.
Well, they just decided not to pay you one month?
Well, my check got delivered to Schlumberger Oilfield Services. And instead of somebody from Schlumberger going, oh, that's the extension office, on my way home I'll drop it by. It's right there at the fairgrounds. I'll drop his check by. It's set there for a month.
While you're bumming off the extension ladies.
Yes.
And then in Beckham County, you went there in '91. And what was, you might have said it, but we can repeat it. What was your title there?
Same ag educator with 4-H responsibilities.
Okay. And what are some of those memories that you're pretty sure you'll never forget?
Well, the most memorable thing, I got out, I was supposed to have gone in the fall. And that's when they had the federal hiring freeze on. Started October. So I wasn't able to move to Beckham County until February. Well, I get out there and, we're good for the rest of the fiscal year, but then they're working on the next year's budget and extension gets shortcutted. Well, a lot of times they'll put people on a special project at the district office or something. Well, it just so happened Gary Schaefer, who was agricultural agent here in Oklahoma County, had some medical problems, and he'd taken medical leave, and but you have to be off for a year before you can start drawing benefits and things such as that. And Lonnie Sellers, the area agronomist, had been coming up from Duncan a couple times a week and doing soil samples and answering phone calls, returning messages. And Ladd Hudgens, our district director, said, well, we're not going to let Beckham County have Ray full-time out there if they're not going to come up with the full budget. So Joanne Brandon, the county director here, had been approached about another person coming into the office, and Joanne informed Ladd that person's not stepping foot in my office. And he goes, well, how about Ray Ridlen? And this is like November, and I've only been in the district since February. She goes, I don't know him. He goes, well, he's new. She goes, we'll take him. So they took me. So I got a system down where I would work here Thursday, Friday, drive back to Sayre, then come back here and work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I'd have 5 consecutive days. Then I'd work Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday out there, then back up here. And stayed at the Travelers Inn behind the Steak and Ale at I-40 and Meridian. And I did that from November until the next July. So I got to see lots of I-40.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked all the guys on the counties, Brad and Canadian County and all the guys in Caddo and Custer. I said, you want me to do your crop reports for you? Because I've probably seen more of your crops than you guys.
Did they take you up on it?
No. But that was a lot. That was November. That was 7 months, I think. Mm-hmm. And so I interviewed for this position at Roundup. I had my 4-H kids from Beckham County up at Roundup. So I interviewed the end of May and was offered the position and started the 1st of July up here.
So just for a little bit of, to kind of fill in the gaps, in Beckham County, who were some of the co-workers that you worked with? Well,
we just had our Family Consumer Science. I'll have to get I never throw one of my directories away. I have every directory since I've started. Reiner? Reiner. She had kind of a unique first name.
Maybe we'll think of it.
Laretha? Yeah, Laretha.
We'll think of it.
I'll look it up.
We'll look it up.
Yeah, I tell all my coworkers when we get our new personnel directories, I see them throw them in the trash. I said, don't do that. I said, find a filing cabinet, throw them in the filing cabinet, because 20 years from now you'll be going, now who was that department head, or who was that person? You can go back, I think it was around this time. And
was her name Laretha Roper?
Yes.
Nailed it. And so you were the ag/4-H.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the CED? Was it a 2-county or 3-county staff?
Laretha was CED.
Okay, she was CED, and so it's just a 2-county
Yeah.
staff. And you both shared 4-H responsibility.
Yeah, and when I was in Creek County, I was a three-person staff.
And so when you came here, 5 consecutive days a week for 8 months, 7 or 8 months, what was your position here? Was it also
Agriculture.
ag? And did you have 4-H responsibilities, or was it pure ag in this position?
Well, everybody has a 10%.
Yeah, a little bit.
And my 10% mostly comes from doing the spring livestock show and county fair.
And then do you remember the date that you came to Oklahoma County?
It was July 1. The year, I think 91.
And at that time, it was
either 91 or 92. Yes.
It was as the ag agent.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of 4-H responsibility. And so, who were some of your coworkers when you first came on board?
Joanne Brandon was county director. Bill Gear was horticulturalist. Ron Hall was 4-H. Lisa Hanel was 4-H. Janie Morrow was 4-H. We still had an IPM program, and that was Julia Laughlin.
What does IPM stand for?
Integrated Pest Management.
Okay.
And then Julia left to go down to OSU OKC, and then Kathy Kelch filled that position.
And then, so that's July 1st of 91. Then
I think 92.
92. So then what happened?
I've been here ever since.
But in a different position. Yes,
horticulture is such a large need here in Oklahoma County, and I've always had an interest in horticulture. I mean, been gardening since I can remember. Always had an interest in plants. So I was always helping Bill with the horticultural end of it. Helping the master gardeners answer questions, and so when Bill retired, or when Bill moved from horticulture to county director, that position opened up, and I applied for it, and they hired somebody else, a qualified individual, but kind of as I guess as a token reward, they reassigned my title to agriculture, horticulture at that time, and so then we hired another horticulturalist after Paul left, and applied that time, didn't you? But anyway, now that they didn't refill the position, so I'm here doing predominantly horticulture, because that's mainly what the main need is here in this county.
And so
I still do agriculture. I mean, I did a pasture evaluation yesterday afternoon. We'd still work with work with people that have cattle and pastures and crops, but predominantly it's horticulture here.
In Oklahoma County, what are some of those memories that you're pretty sure you'll never forget?
Oh, that one. No, I guess we could share that one. Yeah, we'll share it for posterity.
Okay.
Okay. When we say horticulture position, you've got to be as much of an entomologist as a plant pathologist as a horticulturalist, because you have to we're dealing with the insects, the diseases, everything. So we have lots of insects brought into the office. Well, I remember a lady brought an insect on a makeup square for Bill to identify, and She lays it on his desk, and he's looking for his hand lens, his loop, and he's opening his drawers and closing his drawers. He can't find his loop to look, inspect this insect. So he brings it over and throws it around on my desk, because I have a loop in my desk drawer, and he's, can you ID this? So I get my loop out, and it's got a very short focal length, so you're down pretty close to the specimen. And I look at that hand lens, and I see this insect shaped somewhat like this. So I looked up at her and with stone cold sober look on my face and said, ma'am, I have no idea what this insect is. I knew what it was, but I didn't have the guts to tell her she has crabs. So I looked at her, ma'am, I have no idea this is. I need to send this to the entomologist at Stillwater to get it identified. Because this is one thing you want to make darn sure you're right on identifying this.
And that she would get that mail, that notice in the mail. Yeah.
So I emailed it or sent it off to our entomologist on campus. And on the back of the card, is this Buster the body like crab? How do you get them? How do so anyway, Don's very serious, and yes, that is a pubic louse, and yes, Don, I know it was. I just wanted to make sure you identified it, because I imagine when they get that fact sheet in the mail with that portion highlighted, there'll be a very interesting discussion over the dinner table.
Any other thing?
But I will probably never forget that. Ma'am, I have no idea what that is.
So out of the positions you've had in Extension, what's been your favorite part about working with Extension?
Everything. No 2 days are ever the same. I give lots of talks to service organizations, retiree groups, lots of different talks throughout the year, and I always talk about Extension and what we do here in the office, and because they might only know Extension as the horticultural article or the Master Gardener program, so I always try to get across to them. We have the 4-H and youth development, we have the family consumer sciences, and let them know what we do here. And the greatest thing about Extension, no 2 days are ever the same. And it's perfect for a person that has my type of personality, that if you ever done the true colors before, you have the gold, the green, the blue, and orange. Well, I'm green. I'm one of these people that if I don't know how something works or don't know the answer to something, it just really, so every day I'm getting asked questions I either have to know the answer to or have to look up the answer to. So that's what makes it so great. If you don't like that, you might not like Extension. For somebody with that type of personality, it's a great job.
And through your work with horticulture, what are some of the times that you remember making the biggest impact for either an individual or a family or an organization?
Well, I've got all the schools are always wanting to do raised bed gardenings, or they want to have a community garden in churches and schools. I spent numerous hours with those groups, and unfortunately a lot of times nothing ever, a spade of dirt never gets turned over. Same thing, a lot of individuals, they're tired of what they're doing, their job now, they've got a certain amount of acreage. I want it to make money, and you spend lots of time sitting across the table with the individuals, coming up with farm plans and how you can go about doing stuff, and just kind of like some of those community gardens, nothing ever comes to fruition. Well, I've got one individual about 4 or 5 years ago came to my office, same thing. So sat down with him, went through everything, and now he's in his 3rd year of business. I think this might be starting his 4th year of business, has 4 or 5 hoop houses, got 3 or 4 more hoop houses going up. He's growing stuff year round now for the Edmond Public Schools. That's pretty rewarding, because you do so many of those, sit with them, and nothing ever comes about. But to find just a few of those success stories is really neat.
That would be. Is there anything over the course of your time with the Cooperative Extension Service historically that you recall, that you remember, that took place, meeting someone famous, a change, a new invention, anything like that?
Well, the computers have changed everything. You know, I remember the old days, we don't have a fact sheet on that. Now when they come in, I would say, we don't have a fact sheet on that, but we can find you one. You know, I had a gentleman in today, he's wanting to do information on raising rabbits. Well, we don't have a fact sheet on raising rabbits. But you type in on the computer, on the search engine, raising rabbits space extension. Always put that space extension in there so you get all the Langer University stuff. We had University of Washington, Texas A&M, Penn State. The whole front page was nothing but Langer University information on raising rabbits. And sometimes some of our fact sheets kind of sneak up on us, because I had a gentleman come in a year or two ago wanted some information on raising elderberries. Well, I said, we don't have a fact sheet on raising elderberries, but I'm sure one of the other Langer University does. So I raising elderberries extension. Guess which one was the first one to show up? The one from OSU that I didn't know we had.
And if you could put into words what the Cooperative Extension Service through your lifetime has meant to you, or the influence it's had on you, how would you describe that to someone? Invaluable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'd done without 4-H growing up. Probably got into a whole lot of trouble. But when you got 7 head of cattle or 6 head of cattle to feed, you go to work, you keep a job, you pay the bills.
Anything else that you'd like to share that you can think of?
I just really, you know, I've been doing this for 26 years now. I guess my anniversary is coming up next month. And July 28th, which it didn't dawn on me, that's my wedding anniversary too. They're both the same day. Been a great career. About the only regrets I have, I wish I'd have started my extension career right out of college.
Yeah. Anything else before we close?
Nope.
Mr. Ridlen, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you for participating.